Well, for more on this, our London correspondent Alex Izat is joining us live from the Oval Stadium. We've got WION Sports editor Digvijay Singh Dyal joining us live from New Delhi, and Vimal Kumar, who is a cricket writer and also outside the Oval. Let's maybe start with Alex today. So you're there outside the event. This is supposed to be a neutral venue for both teams, but you had reported earlier that the Indian fans would be outnumbering the Australian fans. Is that still the case?
Well, it definitely seems that way. There is a real buzz going on outside. I'm outside the Alex Stewart gate, so one of the many areas of the Oval, and people have been queuing for hours this morning. But it does feel that there's a lot more from the Indian Australians, but of course we're not inside, so you can't 100% to see itself. But this is going to be a really interesting match for both of them, because this doesn't usually take place in June. And of course, as we know, Katie, the weather this year has been slightly damp, and actually is still not quite sunny yet. So that field out there where they're going to be playing later, it is going to be a little different than potentially that they're used to, either here playing previously in August or September, or in fact at the Ashes, which is at Lord's as well. So it'll be interesting grounds seeing how both teams play, but fans definitely from both sides and actually all around the world as well.
Alex, you mentioned the weather there. It's kind of prediction time here. Here in Britain, we're always talking about the weather anyway, aren't we? But when it comes to cricket, it can, of course, impact the game. It's always changeable. Do you think there's a possibility of rain over the next 5 days?
I'm going to say it, yes, I do. There's definitely going to be some thunderstorms on the way, but whether or not they will come before the weekend, now that's to be decided. We have been expecting a lot sunnier weather during the day, every single day this week. In fact, it mostly starts like this. It's a bit cloudy and slightly overcast here, and then it does get a bit brighter during the afternoon. So we are expecting that sunshine to come through, but it's likely that we are going to be seeing rain ahead. But there's also a slight chill in the air, and there's also a slight dampness. And as I did mention, the ground there, that's usually when it comes around to this time in the Test cricket season, it is a lot drier and a lot firmer, but it will be a bit spongier because of this dampness in the air. So sadly, even though we keep hearing about these highs, it's going to be the hottest day here and there, still not quite hot enough just yet. And I've still got a couple of layers on, so it's definitely going to be a bit chilly, especially in the mornings.
OK, sounds very typical for this time of year. A bit of everything going on there. Alex, thank you for now. Vimal Kumar, you've been tracking the Indian team for over 2 decades now. There is this ICC jinx that has followed the team around for the last major title coming in 2013. Now, having spent time around the team, did you get a feeling that this is maybe weighing on them?
See, that point, obviously, everyone will be talking about. It's been more than a decade that India has won a World Cup. But having observed this team ever since I have arrived in UK, there is less hype, less, scrutiny and less pressure. If I can see that among the faces of Indian players. And the reason is the format. If you compare it from ODI cricket, the One Day World Cup final or T20 final, there could have been more pressure on the Indian players, because the Indian public, they want team to do well extraordinary in the white ball format. But this is a different format, and this is the second time, and India has been consistently #1 team in Test ranking. So there is a quite confidence in this team. The team knows that. Obviously, Rohit Sharma's captaincy, he is new to Test captaincy, but he knows that he will have a lasting impression. His legacy will be very richer if he wins this grand finale. And no matter what, given the conditions and the way India have dominated Australia in the last 4 series, they have won each time 2-1, and they have beaten Australia in Australia, something which was impossible in Indian cricket or in world cricket. So there is a sense of quite confidence in this Indian bunch.
All right, confidence. We like the sound of that. Well, let's get Digvijay involved here and look at the larger picture. Then perhaps this is maybe one last hurrah, would you say, for these two great teams with the biggest prize at stake, of course?
Yes, I completely agree with you. I'm just listening to what Vimal was saying, and he sort of stole my words. So thank you, Vimal. I'll have to think of something new on the spot. But India till 2005 and 6 were very poor travellers. But 2016, in that Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri era, they sort of started to win matches abroad. As Vimal said, consistently world #1, going to Australia and winning back-to-back series over there. They were in England as well. They won that series. So this Indian team knows how to win overseas. But a lot of these players are above 30. It's a similar case with the Australians. And obviously, the build-up to this match has always been about the Ashes. But that group of players, you know, Stephen Smith, David Warner, Pat Cummins, a lot of these players have been around for a while. And while they've dominated Test cricket over the last, say, 10 years, last decade, India and Australia sort of going back and forth, except that period when the ball tampering scandal saw Australian cricket pull down to rock bottom. I think both won this Test championship. That's, you know, the one day at the T20 World Cups, everyone's won. The Test championship is new. It's the oldest format of the game. And I just think that both teams will really want to win this. And just on that, I just want to throw a question with your permission to Vimal. You know, Vimal, we've looked at what happened in the last, 6 months ago, the Football World Cup, the hype surrounding that World Cup and the final, the T20 and the ODI World Cup finals in cricket we have seen. Do you get a feeling that the ICC sort of got this one wrong? That the scheduling is all over the place, and a finale like this, it's a 2-year cycle. A finale like this deserves a much more better schedule to sort of get more people sort of enjoying that buzz. It's coming straight after the IPL.
I think you are perhaps right. And yesterday, you know, a very interesting event happened. Rohit Sharma attended the press conference, and nobody asked him one question, which he was, according to him, he was desperate to answer. And then when Rohit finished his practice session, and he specifically asked me, we asked that, are you fine with this just one Test match final, because anything can go wrong? Your two years, you guys have dominated. And he said that I would have liked to have 3 match, final, best of 3. So somebody just remarked that, you know, would you say the same thing if you win the Test match? So Rohit replied that yes, my stand remains same. So Indian team knows that, Digvijay, they have been doing well for the last 2 years. Last 1 decade, they have been the teams. They almost won a Test series in England when they were leading 20 by 2-1 in 2021. The last Test match did not finish because of COVID, and then they had come last year and they lost the series. But the fact that, as we have seen, that we have been the part of the generation which grew up, you know, in the all fear. The moment we saw this overcast condition, we used to, you know, wonder how our batting would survive. But that's not the case, because now we have the confidence. If they have the Mitchell Stark and the Pat Cummins, we also have our Shamiz and the Siraj. So that is something which has changed in Indian cricket, and that's a staggering development. If you can see that, especially in the last 5 years, the kind of fast bowlers India have produced. The fact that India is not missing Jasprit Bumrah as they should have, it speaks volumes about India's bench strength.
Well, I just want to come in there. You speak about that. We'll talk about selection as well. But the patience factor, Test cricket is all about patience. This Indian team, barring Cheteshwar Pujara, comes in on the back of the IPL. Do you get a feeling seeing them that they will make that switch? Because a lot of the Australian players have been either at home or they have been playing county cricket.
I think, Digvijay, you are absolutely right. That will not be easy. Obviously, easier said than done, and players know about it. The only thing which surprised me, Digvijay, I know this is a standard policy before the Test match. Just on the previous day, the team doesn't do a hard session. It was an optional practice session. But having seen that team, you know, that the entire team was playing T20 cricket, and then on most of the occasions, you see fewer Test sessions. If you compare from Australia, like last day, it was on the eve of the Test match. David Warner, Stephen Smith, Labuschagne, they all were going hard. So it was typical old-fashioned test cricket preparation. Maybe Indian cricket has a different method. I know that is understandable. We all keep talking about workload management. Indian team plays so much cricket. No team does. But in the end, if you look at just, because this is just one solitary Test match, you don't want to leave any stone unturned. Go for the best, I think, because Rohit Sharma has some fond memory of this ground, oval where he got his finest 100. Who knows? In his 50th Test match as captain of India, another masterpiece from the captain.
Okay, I'm just going to slip in one more, Vimal. You know, you spoke about the sort of application required from the Australians as well. Do you think Australia have the more settled lineup going into this match? It's a one-off match, as you mentioned. There's also the fact that, you know, India is missing Bumrah, say a Rishabh Pant, and the question marks are, will Ravichandran Ashwin play? I believe that you should always play your best team, irrespective of the conditions. Do you think, keeping all those factors in mind, Australia have the sort of best ideal lineup for this one-off game?
Maybe just slightly, Digvijay, not to a greater degree. I would say that maybe just slightly. But I think this works for Indian team. I asked Rahul Dravid this question, that this is the first time probably in a recent time, if you see that Indian team is not being seen as the favorite, you know, even though ironically they have beaten Australia twice on their soil, and the game is being played in England on a neutral ground, and still people think that India is underdog. And I think that works for Indian team. They want not much hype, too much should not be expected. They are trying to play it down. I saw that Rahul Dravid speaking about that. Rohit Sharma, that life will move on. Rohit was very pragmatic captain, very the kind of leader, try to put the pressure off. He says that yes, I would like to win championship. I would love to win this final. But yes, we have to give our best. So the team is trying to, you know, let's not pressure bog down, you know, because that has been the one point. If you look at, there are some fantastic. This is Digvijay in many ways. This is the perhaps arguably the greatest test team India has ever produced. You look at the Rahanes, the Pujaras, the Kohlis, the Rohit Sharma, Shami, Ashwin, Jadeja, Umesh Yadav. These 8 players, I don't think these 8 players will be playing another final in 2 years' time. So in many ways, it's like a golden generation coming together for this finale. And what is better, if India wins this test match, people are comparing that how T20 format changed throughout the world when India won it in 2007. Then in 2011, in 1983, India won the ODI World Cup and it changed. Similar thing can happen if India wins this test finale.
Well, thank you. Let's maybe get Alex involved for a second or two, because would you say the English sporting fans really care about this final, like they did about the FA Cup final, of course, last weekend? Or is it the Ashes? Is that the only talking point, do you think, when it comes to cricket?
No, I think obviously football has a great place within the nation. The UK is very interested in whatever team plays, and obviously when England get to World Cups or FA Cups, there is this huge outgrowing of support. But something like this, there is a huge group of South Indian people who came over to the UK and have been living here for decades, and they are integral to the culture of England and the United Kingdom. So whether you're an English fan or you're an Indian fan, I think together they could work and still have the joy that's coming from a test match such like this. But a lot of eager eyes will be having a watch over what exactly happens over the next 5 days between Australia and India, because Australia are going into Ashes, as you said, against England on June 16th. So it'll be interesting to see how exactly they're playing. But let's not forget, these are very different grounds as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of support for India, specifically if India does win this particular test. Then, of course, England fans will be looking to Ashes, and already Australia might be on the back foot a little bit. So I think there's going to be a lot of people watching this game. And I can hear the atmosphere here is already a bit of electric, and the queues are still going on, and this will be happening every day, no doubt, this week. There's a lot of excitement here, so not looking too far ahead, even though it's a few weeks away. We're looking to this week, and I think a lot of eyes will be watching.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Alex, thank you so much. Let's maybe get the final word to you, Bimal. We are approaching toss time. What would you do if you were the captain and you called it correctly then?
Pardon me, can you just repeat it?
Yeah, of course. So it's toss time. If you were the captain, what would you do if it was called correctly? What would be your choice?
I think this is hell out of the question, the catch-22, because it would have been easier had sun been out, but since morning the sun is still, you know, hasn't come out, and that will make the decision of after winning the toss what to do. But I sense that over the last 5 days, whichever team plays well will win the trophy. And traditionally, you want to win the toss, you want to put the runs on the board. So I expect Indian team to win the toss and elect to bat first. Maybe conditions could be tricky for the first half an hour, 1 hour, But if they negotiate it well, then India will be, on their way to some great innings.
Vimal, thank you so much for joining us here on the programme today. I can hear you're very excited indeed, and you certainly know your cricket, that's for sure. Digvijay, thank you for getting involved as well, and to our London correspondent, Alex Isaac. Thank you to you all, and thank you, of course, for watching. This is WION World as One, broadcasting live from London.